We are going to try this again. Greetings and brilliant days to you, beautifuls. Welcome to Mystic Behind the Journey. The connectivity in my mom's garden was kind of funky, so we are inside the house. It's kind of humid outside anyways. Welcome to summer. Greetings, I see you. All right, I'm about to send you an invite. So yes, as for introductions, greetings and welcome to Mystic Behind the Journey. This is episode 7, the release, and I have some exciting guests today who are going to be checking in. And today we are going to be like in a post-release world. Thus far, Mystic Behind the Journey has really been about the process of making the album and being signed and my development and my foundation. And so, I could not have this series happen without having my brother, the one and only DJ Bonds, also my DJ of over 20 years. What up, Mike?
What up? What up? What up? I'm glad to be here. I am just proud, that this is coming out and celebrating, and the way you're doing it, it's dope as fuck. So I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Look at, and Walter's here now too. Yeah. Oh, yes, I sent you a request. I had to have the two of you.
Right. What you got in your pockets, Walt? What you got?
Break yourself.
Break yourself. What you got?
What? Wait, hold on. What?
Oh, you won.
That doesn't count.
Oh, you won.
I've been waiting on you. I've been saving a whole jar just for you.
Yeah, man. Hey, there you go. G-code.
This jar I don't touch. This is a Bonds jar.
Oh, that's hilarious. So for anybody who's here or watches this later, what
froze up.
You froze up.
That's my engineer calling me because that's my engineer calling. I'll call him back. The reason that I want to take a moment to explain that, or I'll let you guys explain it, because saying what you got and break yourself and it connecting to change, I think is, people should understand it. So you guys go ahead.
It's an age-old. I think this has been going since the beginning of times. It's called "Break Yourself." Big bang, take little bang.
Big bang, take little bang. Before the song, 20 years ago, we'd be in the airport and you gotta pull all your damn change and shit. Mm-hmm. And if I have more change than what Walt had in his little, little cup, I was like, big bang, take little bang. I just take the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like on the spot, MOP, take that shit.
But I mean, we also used a lot more cash back then, right? So you could actually do a nice little come up if you did something like that. Before we dive too deep into stories, people are joining right now. This is Mystic Behind the Journey, episode 7, the release. And this is exciting. I can now officially say, since I announced it this morning, that the audio from this IG Live series is being made into a podcast. That podcast, Mystic Behind the Journey, will be an ongoing podcast. It will not just be Behind the Journey for this album, but it will be Behind the Journey when we get to the anniversary for Beautiful Resistance. As I said this morning, I also am, I'm an artist. I create art. And so there's always a behind the journey of something and just behind the journey of my life. So it won't just be behind the journey of cuts for luck and scars for freedom. And so I'm excited about that. The podcast is up on all, or is making its way to all podcast platforms. I will not always be filming it on IG Live. Some of them will be straight up podcasts. And then the videos, as of 12 o'clock this morning, July 29th, will be up on YouTube. So I'm trying to provide as many opportunities as possible for folks to be able to hear the audio, see the videos. I'll look in and see what I can do about captioning. I believe that accessibility is incredibly important. So anyways, that's where we are. Welcome to all the beautifuls coming in the room. Salute to you, Matt. Oh, what up?
Matt Locks in the house.
I see you.
Oh, gee.
Oh, I see. There's spam in the building. So we're just going to go ahead and start today and kind of jump in. And so to start it off, Bonds, you have not been on yet. But the way that I start is I do a little brief kind of, check in and let them know who my guests are. And I don't want to comment. Sorry. Half my screen is like all the stuff on the bottom. But I do a brief little check-in of you guys, and then you guys introduce yourselves, and then I've got some questions over here, but we're also going to kind of freestyle at about 5:30. The one and only Dana Dane Mega will be joining us, and at 6 o'clock, the one and only Moetown will be joining us. So to start off, I would like to introduce DJ Bonds, my brother, my DJ of over 20 years, thanks to Walter, because you would not be my DJ if it wasn't for Walter. And so, DJ Bonds, you are one of the dopest DJs I have ever met in my entire life. If not, you're my DJ. And I am proud to go anywhere in the world with you. But not only is it a blessing to have a dope DJ who I'm like, I'll put my DJ up against anybody's DJ. Right. Is that, I got a brother in you, and I got a positive, loving father figure with Pops. And so you have a deep background. Welcome to East Oakland, all those lovely sounds.
Yeah, East Oakland.
You have a deep background in Los Angeles and the hip hop scene in Los Angeles. So would you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your come up and journey in hip hop?
Hello. So I am DJ Bonds. Started DJing back in 88, 89, something like that. And used to do a lot of be honest with you, I used to do a lot of mixtapes, slang them on Melrose, when my son was being born, when the baby mom was pregnant and shit, just slanging mixtapes, scratching for everybody named mama in the studio. And this idea for a club called Elements came about, and ran with it because they need to make money, that kind of thing. So through that, Elements, strictly underground hip hop kind of joint, met a lot of people. That's where I met Walt, and Walt at the time was managing Planet Asia, and we just became real cool, specifically, just cool, straight up and down, off the bat, So, yeah, so somehow, some way, we was at a show at the El Rey Theater, and Walt came up to me and was like, yo, I might have something for you, man. You still DJing for artists and doing scratches, shit like that? And I'm like, yeah, I still fuck with that. I do the club, obviously, but yeah, I'm interested with what you got, And then I want to say you gave me a CD right then there, like a sampler that was coming out on CD, I think, right?
Probably.
Hold on. Before we go forward, let's also say we have the one and only Walt Liquor, who I call Walter, on today, who was my manager during the time that Cuts for Luck and Scars for Freedom was being created and was released, and also produced You Say I Say on the album, and remains to be a dear, beloved brother and an amazing producer. And he has a deep history. I know you've been on before and you introduced yourself, but would you give a little, maybe a more condensed kind of introduction to yourself before Bonds sets it off without this happening?
Right. I wanna before I do that, I wanna go back to Bonds for a second. I wanna shine some more light. because very special to me. I wanna tell him and you why. I mean, he may know and remember this. When me and Asia first started going to Los Angeles, me and Planet Asia first started going to Los Angeles, trying to make something happen and introduce ourselves. And, we was out there with nothing, $2 between us. Some of the first money we ever made in Los Angeles on some hip hop shit was fucking with Bonds. Somebody put us on the Bonds home for us, and him and his brother, what's his brother's name? That
Dame, my cousin, Dame.
Dame, what up, Dame?
Man, one of the greatest brothers in LA, man.
Respect. Thank you, man.
Put a lot of people on, and I gotta get at you, bro, while we in this forum, because I love you and appreciate you. And that's why when it
Love
came
you too, buddy.
when it came down to, it's like, okay, we need a DJ for Mystic, because I can't do it no more. We gotta.
Yeah. Because Walter was manager slash DJ slash whatever is it that you need, because that's what a manager does.
Right.
But Bonds, off the top, I knew you would be, and to hear you say, like, you know, it's your brother and you got all the other things out of it, that makes me feel good, because I knew when I was like, Bonds is the one, he's your guy, he's going to be great. And I'm glad to see it last so long, and it's still going strong. I love it. So that I just had to say that first.
Yeah, we will circle back. So introduce yourself.
So for me, I go by Walt Liquor. Man, you know, they can call me Slash. You might as well call me Slash out here, because I'm, you know, DJ, art, from the Bay Area, you know, part of the Bay Area hip hop scene. I work with a lot of different artists in the studio, from either producing them or, you know, recording them, or, you know, just out there live and on the road. You know, we had a very robust scene in the Bay, and I'm happy. I'm a hip hop kid that grew up here, and I loved it then and I love it now. So, you know, you would know me through Planet Asia, Mystic, of course. I work with bringing Jake One to the game, Super Dave West. There's a whole lot of other artists that I'm probably gonna forget real quick, but you know, these are some of the names, and I'm just happy I could say that I've worked with some of the greatest to ever do it. You know, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and you are awesome, and welcome. So how I want to circle back is, you know, Walt, you came on and you helped me put together a stellar team. You cared for me. I don't think you put me in the hands. I know you didn't put me in the hands of anybody who you did not trust. And that goes for connections with lawyers, for accountants, for agents. We literally built that team. But in starting with Bonds, I remember you saying, like, I've got this DJ, because you really couldn't do it anymore. Not that you couldn't DJ, but you didn't have the capacity or the time. And I got on the phone with Bonds. I want to tell this story. I got on the phone with you, and you told me about how you were working in juvenile hall, right? Mm-hmm. And I just thought, my educator heart, right? My dedicated to children heart thought, yeah. And we talked, and you loved hip hop, and it was like you were my DJ. I don't advise. I had never heard you scratch. I don't advise that other people pick their DJ that way, but I picked you based on I picked you based on your heart and your spirit and the work that you were doing. And then I showed up over at your house, and that's when, like, the place, you know, where we set up all the food now, but you were in that kind of side room at Pop's house.
That was my DJ studio kind of thing, where people couldn't touch. I would bring rappers over, they couldn't touch and shit.
I think you were in your boxers the first time I came over, and you answered the door, and I came in. I'm not really tripping, right? I've toured with 11 dudes. I'm not, you know, whatever. And then you started scratching, and it was magic. And I was just like, you know, so sometimes trusting that somebody is a good person, you just get really great things. And whether that's a manager or that's a DJ, you know, that happened with me. So with that said, I would like to talk about some stuff that is about the release. And, you know, you guys were both there as we were setting and preparing to do that. So whether you guys want to tell stories about tour, or Bonds, you can tell stories about me wanting to talk on stage, and you're like, what are you doing? Why would you talk between the songs on stage? Just drop the records.
You gotta understand, when you DJing for dudes, basically, right? I'm DJing for a lot of different artists. I DJ for probably like 4 artists at like that time, right before I, you know, really committed to you. And you know, dudes is like, you know, everything's hype. Everything's like, you know, there is no setting the mood, or there is no spoken word piece in between, or there is no, like, even a call response. We had this call response at like our last song, right? Good night, you know, I was scratched, good night to Brick. And we did a call response, and you made them get quiet. Like, there was a whole romper room classroom situation going on. Like, who does it? I ain't seen that since. I ain't seen no artist ever do a call response and make them whisper back to them. You know
That would be so dope, because it would be the good night, good night, right? And you're scratching, and I'm saying about I want to thank you, you know, and thanking people, singing and thanking everybody who's come out with us. And then we would drop it down. I would like bring it down. And to this day, 20 years later, it completely delights me to do that with a crowd of folks, because we can bring it up and we can be hype, but we can also, you know, I don't think most people have ever gone to a hip hop show and done a whisper call and response either. So I think they find as much delight and kind of humor in it as well. But I do remember you just kind of looking at me like I was crazy when I said I wanted to talk and introduce songs.
Well, it was getting to you know, I talk with my hands. I'm not a dude on the mic. I'm not no Kid Capri kind of dude. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So like our first shows was hella rough for me, because I'm hearing myself on the mic and I'm cringing as I'm having to say like ad-libs and shit. And one of the shows, like our third show in, was like at the Watts Festival with like Black Star, Jurassic 5, and you know, fucking Black Star's DJ, Mr. Flathead. I have the DJ forum. It's just on YouTube right now. You go Google it, and it's like 90,000 views or something crazy, right?
Yeah.
But like that was like our third show ever, and I have footage of it. And I cringe hearing myself on the mic, like it's. And I know it's early. You know, I got better over the years. So you helped me bring out the, you know, that part of myself, getting on the mic and interacting with the crowd. Because I always had an MC at Elements. Every time I rocked a house party, I would bring my homie as an MC. Like, I don't get on the mic like that, you know?
You're surrounded by MCs. Why you got to say something?
Yeah, I'll talk to my hands and I'll leave it alone, you know?
I saw that Mark Love is also on here. You once, I think, reached out to him after a show, and
I did
some sage advice.
Yeah. Mark is hella dope. For he stayed on the phone with me for hours. So I was trying to think of how to do a routine, you know, how to do some kind of show, you know, that kind of thing. So I had battled a couple times, but you know, I had never set up an actual show routine before. So I tried it in like New York, and I did an epic fail. Like it was all right, but it wasn't like the crowd got hype or no shit. It was decent, but it wasn't dope. And so he was like, man, why you doing trying to do doubles? You're a scratcher, you know, get on that transformer and transform and scratch. And so with his advice, I came up with a routine, and he stayed on the phone the whole time, like speakerphone, as I came up with the routine. And then the next night we were in Boston, and the fucking crowd went ballistic. You never heard it before, so you were going crazy on stage. So those are my favorite fucking hip hop moments, is having Mark mentor me and then seeing your reaction. One of the best, most of my best hip hop moments is because of you. Like taking me to New York, and then like, you know, just different things that we would do together, right? Or like, you know, we're on 106 in Park. I'm chewing gum. My grandma called me afterwards, why are you chewing gum on TV? You know, like, you know, just classic shit. You know what I'm saying? Bringing my grandma on the tour bus to see me. Those are moments. You know what I'm saying? Those are dope ass fucking moments. You know what I mean? So
Tour bus, huh?
I'm about to ask you, Walter, ask you something, but while we stay on those DJ routines for a minute, what were your original thoughts when I wanted you to create a routine with Beyonce?
I was like, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it because it was the high beat or whatever. And it made me look at the song in a different way. But it was like, okay, how can I, in the world of hip hop, still be respected? So it made me kind of get off differently as far as my scratch patterns and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously to the masses, people are going to groove to great, you know, Crazy in Love. So it was a good look. In hindsight, it was a hell of a good look.
People hella responded to it because they also weren't anticipating that to happen at a hip hop show, and for somebody to take it and to transform on that and to play with it as you did. So, you know, you and I have been able to just, you know, create so much fun stuff, and, you know, say in touring with India Irie and Khalees and all them, and India Band and all these things. But part of what ended up happening is people responded really beautiful to me on stage with the DJ, right? It's an MC with a microphone and a DJ who's one of the dopest in the world, and that people could still have a great show. So Walter, maybe you can speak to how you remember the kind of development of those kind of shows and tours happening.
Well, you know, one thing that I was, you know, as far as the development, you know, you've always, as long as I've been a very magnetic microphone, whether speaking or performing. Right?
Thank you.
Just like to what Bonds is talking about, when you would do the talking through the shows, that's actually what I think brought everybody, really got people to you. You know, those times in between, like, you know, they heard the music, they would come see you, but they would really learn about you as you would speak to them and why they did it. And that, I mean, one of the things I learned working with you was about the, you know, how much music attaches to people's souls. You know, how powerful, you know, when you can translate those emotions into a song and they actually, like, to see it really react. I've dealt with songs over the years, but not every song like just attaches to people and brings them through stuff. You write a lot of that type of material, and that album specifically was so special, right? So it just always a trip to see you guys, you know, grow and interact more comfortable, and that, you know, as we were out bigger and bigger stages, and you know, just amazing. You know, it never really, you know, surprised me because both of y'all are dope. You know, like I knew when you put two dope people together, like, dope. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Your audio is breaking up a little bit, Walter, just so you know.
I don't know what to do about that. I'll hold the phone maybe. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you sound better now.
Okay, cool. So anyway, you know, one thing I was just thinking about in terms of y'all going out performing. You remember you know, the Black Eyed Peas tour started during damn 9/11.
Yeah.
That was a trip, because we, you know, we were rocking pre 9/11, you know, and then all of a sudden, like right as you guys were supposed to go out, you know, everything shut down for a week.
We were rehearsing in Oakland.
We were in Oakland.
And
my dad.
Super early in the morning, and I'm not trying to make light of something that was a devastating and tragic event. But I remember you calling really early and being like, "Don't get upset. I know it's early. I know it's early," and turning on the television and thinking that I was watching what happened, but I was actually watching the second plane go into the tower.
Yeah, I feel like everybody caught that waking up.
And really had to make a collective decision. We all decided we were still going to go on tour, that there needed to be love, there needed to be joy, that we needed to be together. And I'm so thankful that the Black Eyed Peas were down with that, and that you guys as a team were down with that. And we had the whole, you know, crew all together. And
yeah. We had the scramble. Right.
Going. And side note, because I want to come back to you on this, is that taking security on the road, having someone who is a Muslim.
That was a moment. Then you go in the South.
Beautiful spirit in this kind of post 9/11 world where people were hating all Muslims, or not everybody was, but you know, just there was a lot of misplaced hatred, and there was violence towards folks. And I remember being in one specific place, and it's like if he was going to be out there and he was defending my life, right? Then I was willing to stand outside while he prayed, no matter where we were in the country. My you know, solo woman self, but I will put my body and stand on the side so that you can pray when you need to pray, and you can be safe. And to move in the world, to move in that world, and to create joy.
Right.
Was so powerful. And I have to give a shout to Shock G for that, right? We never made a moment of silence for the people that we lost. We made joyful noise.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Scream as loud as you can.
So we on that tour, we made noise with everybody in the crowd. So back to you, Walter. So many memories.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, and you know, I think about also, like, you know, you brought up the tour bus, just those long tour bus rides, you know. listening to, you know, I think when we were on what was the name of the joint with Dwelle and all of them? The
Oh, Family Tree
Tree.
Tour.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Family Tree
Family
Tour.
Tree Tour.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, what a way to start. My
I've never
first
been on
tour
a
ever.
tour I
What
ever
a
wanted
way
to
to
come home
start.
from, except for that tour. I gotta say that too.
You said
Yeah.
what?
I said I'd never been on a tour that I wanted to come home from
Right.
until I got on that tour, and I was like, wow,
Right.
this is a lot going on. And were you with us in Detroit when we were rehearsing with the band? Or like we were out there with everybody preparing for the tour, I should say it like that. And we were in the hotel, the empty hotel. Were you with us?
Man, it was something out of the wire. Like you go to the 8th floor and the whole 8th floor was like just like crack alley or some shit. And it was ran by like some Germans or something. It was the craziest movie scene looking shit ever. It was very Detroit.
And it was a really great empty hotel.
Empty hotel. But on the 8th floor,
that's how they kicked it off, huh?
they kicked it off on the 8th floor, man. It looked like
all joined together. And of course,
or some shit.
Slum and Tim and all those folks out in Detroit were amazing, right? And they were awesome. But it was absolutely a peculiar kind of space to be. Walter, do you remember when we went up and we did the performance for Burton's Snowboards? The snow, it was like their holiday party. And we got to go snowboarding, but I had never been, and I was on my ass all day.
Yeah, I do remember that. Was that in Aspen? Or no?
No, it was in Vermont.
Was that was Alfu ride with us?
I can't remember. I just remember being on my ass all day, but it was in Vermont, and it was a great holiday party. And then I remember we were supposed to leave from there, and then the call came in that I was going to be shot for the cover of Flaunt magazine. With Nika Costa and Basement Jacks and other, right? This was this major kind of get to go on this flaunt cover. And you and I went to New York, and I was so sore I could barely put on my clothes because I had tried to snowboard, and I think we went out. We were like at Applebee's or somewhere, and I just remember being so sore. I remember you helping me put on my coat because I couldn't put on my coat. And then when we got to that photo shoot, what animal was at that photo shoot? Do you remember?
What are you talking about?
Live fucking chickens. And they wanted us to hold
yeah.
And I was like, I refused to hold the chicken. That was also a shoot where they tried to offer me like a double A bikini top to put on, and I was like, that's not happening. You can shut that shit down immediately. But they had the chickens, and I will never ever forget it, because who does a photo shoot with live chickens?
They tried to put you on that's some real model shit they be doing. They'll throw you in a volcano.
Yeah, well, I am not that model material.
Yeah.
But shout out to the folks. Rufus Wainwright, I believe that he held a chicken. I still have the press box that's full of all the media. And when Tessa was on here, she talked about how she knew that I was going to be, in her words, a media darling. Mm-hmm. And so there really was all this great press, but that was a memorable event.
I was just thinking about that. I don't know if media darling was the word, but like, you know, when you brought up that, I was like, man, you got a lot of great response, like from all those different angles. I mean, it's a different time, you know, it is today, but like it was just amazing, the response to the product and what you.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to Betsy Bolte. I invited her, but she's not an in front of the camera person. I invited Brian Bumbury to come.
I was wondering about that. What's up with Bumbury? I was wondering about.
Yeah,
he's doing well. We communicate privately, but I just remember that, like, you know, down to do every interview with every hip hop magazine, no matter how small or how large. But I remember the excitement that came from me, and obviously it would come from PR folks, and shout out to Abby as well. But that when we started getting interviews with like the Washington Post or the New York Times, right, where I'm sitting down and I'm having interviews with folks who are not just asking me about who my top 5 MCs are. They're not just asking me about records that I get to become this more full and complete human being and artist as part of the journey. And I remember Brian being super psyched because he was like, we're going to get there. And then we were all excited because I had done like an interview for CNN. But then rest in peace, Aaliyah died in the airplane crash. And it just was not a time for CNN to air that interview. And I wasn't mad about it at all because I totally understood. But it was this trajectory that we were on, where it was going to those places before. And Dana, when you get in here, just give me a shout when you get in here. But just that where we were, this trajectory going up, if the distributing label had not kind of had its issues, who knows where we would have ended up. But universally speaking, we ended up exactly where we're supposed to be, right? But the trajectory and everybody knows that, or not everybody, but Current Events was college radio single. The Life, obviously, it came out and did what it did, but that the Girlfriend Sister Girl was being set up as a single, and then it was supposed to go to Neptune's Jewels, right? We had this whole plan, and I was so excited because I wanted to do this video for Neptune's Jewels, and I wanted, I'm like rapping to the one, and I wanted to be in the street with a whole bunch of B-girls that were like dancing and rhyming up to my love in the window. I had ideas, man. We all did. And so it was, it was quite a trajectory, but I literally could not have done it without the two of you. And Bonds, it's like Walter was my manager and was awesome at that, but you were with me everywhere I went. And so when I didn't have security, you were my security. You would collect the money from the club if they didn't just hand over the money.
I would carry the pink makeup box.
What'd you say?
Pink makeup box. The pink makeup box.
Walt,
you ever have to carry the pink makeup box in the fucking airport?
Story, please.
Hmm?
Tell the Canada story.
Oh man, we're trying to do a show in Canada, and at the time I had the curly top. I had the Carl Thomas I Wish video shoot curly top, right? And in order to get the curls the right way, I had this tub of gel. And so as I'm going through security or customs in Canada, they didn't believe that I needed gel in my hair and wasn't going to let me in the country. And they went through a series of fucking questions about why I needed gel in my hair. Shit was fucking crazy.
Wow. No, Canada's the worst. I mean, excuse me to my Canadian brothers and sisters out there, but getting over that border is a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, they had you in there for hours, and
wow.
also wanted to know why you were carrying my
makeup case. And Mac had just sponsored you or some shit.
Mac used to send their makeup artists out to do my makeup.
That's right.
I am not a huge makeup person or anything like that, but it's fun when Mac comes out and puts glitter on you and sparkles on your eyelashes, and they would send notes to each other like, she likes color. Right? Because they were all trying to
remember that.
Not really a makeup person, but let's see, right? And so shout out to Mac for coming out and doing that. But they would gift me, every artist who came out to do my makeup would gift me something. And I don't know if we were coming from New York or where we were coming from, but whoever had come had brought me a whole bunch of supplies from Mac, and they thought you were trying to come in.
They stopped me for that I was going to sell, and then I had a bunch of vinyl, and I had multiples of your vinyl. So it's like I was slanging.
I'm wearing slanging vinyl and eyeliner, huh?
I'm
right? No, my artist is out there, and then I left all that makeup in a hotel room, and somebody stole it.
Oh shit! Crazy.
Easy come, easy go, right?
Crazy.
But what would you each say in your different ways from different perspectives of kind of what the experience was for you? It's the wrong language to say to be along for the ride, because you were not along for the ride. You were part of why the ride was moving. And so just kind of you know, what that experience was, how that felt to you, how you saw it, how you thought that I might have been adjusting to it or not adjusting to it. You know, I would open that up to both of you.
You go first, Bon.
So on the DJ side of things, obviously so in my personal life, I was going through this thing where I had been a promoter for years and I was getting burnt out from weekly running a fucking club every fucking week and all the drama that comes about with it. I just wanted to get back to music, you know, and you gave me that outlet, right? So creatively coming up with shows or even rocking in other cities. And I love to make people dance and have fun and stuff like that. So it gave me the opportunity in different cities to just rock joints, you know, like I would go to New York and Beverly Bond, like wherever she would rock at, I would go with her. And so, yeah, shout out to Beverly Bond, my sister. So like it gave me opportunities to play out. And then, you know, as the relationship kept going, we kept doing stuff, you know, I started to realize the need of becoming that piece that you needed as far as being a brother and being there for you. And then we just naturally, you know, obviously became friends and family and, you know, and it was a beautiful, beautiful time, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously it hasn't stopped, you know, we see each other well, we don't see each other all the time, but you know what I'm saying? We
Yeah,
talk all
I'm
the time,
particularly
all the time.
COVID world, but at least we saw each other in the past few months. Got to get together. That was fun.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Shout out to Cherry Pop.
But you recognizing that I like needed that, you know, rock. I needed that, you know, just
And Walt could probably speak to it. But I could see when the label was trying to make you do some shit that wasn't you. You know what I'm saying? And the fight of that. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I was around all the time, so I heard the conversations. And then I would roommate with the fucking label owners. So I could hear them on the phone about, I'm going to pitch this, or I'm going to pitch that, and I'm going to pitch this. And so I had to be careful what I was going to say to them. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times I kept quiet, just let y'all do what you need to do. But I could tell you guys weren't aligned at times, like straight up and down. You know what I'm saying? Because I would literally be roommates with them sometimes on the road. You know what I mean?
Right,
so,
right.
yeah, I know I needed it. You know?
Yeah, I think for clarity for people who are listening is to understand that Good Vibe was a collective of people as a label, and J-Core was a collective of people as a distributing label, joint venture label. J-Core was through Universal. So look, you're not going to love everybody who's at your label. I've been blessed where I've loved more people than I haven't loved, but it's also a business. And when you are an artist who is a woman who looks aesthetically halfway decent, who can spit, has a record that's going up the trajectory where people are trying to figure out, how did we miss her? What happened? And trying to make it grow, right? People have different ideas about how that works. And you have some people who are really come from a business marketing perspective. And as both of you could probably say, it's like, I could understand that, but those are not necessarily the people I gravitate to, right? Particularly when what might be coming from them does not seem so in alignment with where I want to be, where I want to be going. And that there definitely was a component of the release where it was just like, and I met some really beautiful people like Karim, who did my makeup and who I love to this day. You know, I gained people who I call sisters, but like somebody was always in my hair and somebody was always in my face and everybody was always worried about what I was wearing and is she wearing her shoes and is she doing this? You know what I mean? Everybody was always worried about these pieces. And I remember at some point when I put it down and I was just like, if I don't eat, I'm not going to do any more interviews. I'm not going to do anything. I started feeling like I was just being pushed from place to place to place. And that would be a new experience for any artist who is having the kind of success I was beginning to have. And you have to adjust to it. And it's not the easiest thing to do. We would have continued to learn through it and adjust to it you know, if things hadn't kind of fallen apart. But you absolutely, Bonds, were around and knew that there was some stuff that was just not. And Walter, you can speak to that as well, because you were, and you can speak from a manager position of that delicate balance of your artist and the label and the.
I mean, let me tell you, it was a hell of a learning experience all the way around. Because, you know, for something key that you just said was an artist beginning to have success, and the pressures that could come along with that, you know, are very great. That's where I learned about on the journey with you. That's where I learned about that. You know, I learned about press and how, you know, how that works and how things can get twisted. And I've learned about, you know, fans, you know what I'm saying? Like real, you know, ecstatic, you know, the word fan comes from fanatic, and they can be fanatic at times.
Yeah.
You know, and because of their love for you, you know, I learned about that. I learned about the, you know, again, the delicate balance between the label and the artist, and trying to get everybody trying to get to the same place basically at the end of the day. That's why we got in the car together. But, you know,
Right.
varying directions, maps out, and people trying to go different ways. Trying to just keep the team and the team building that we did. We brought that up earlier. I learned a lot about that at that time, and just working with the project because it was going so far, so fast, you know, as opposed to, you know, some of the other things I might have been working on. They were moving along, not the way yours was moving along at that moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was a learning experience for me to have to go into some of the same buildings and have one meeting about you that would go one way, and then have another meeting about the next guy that would go completely a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a trip, you know.
Yeah. And it was quick, right? I remember and we didn't really care about numbers, but I think the numbers for first week sales for Cuts for Life and Scars for Freedom was somewhere around 1,000. Which we were ecstatic. I was ecstatic because I was like, Jill Scott sold just over 7, right? We are an awesome company. Culture, art, and the fact that those people would buy my album, right? But then it went. It wasn't this long. I mean, it was the touring, and so it was paying the dues. It was being out and kissing the babies and shaking the hands and talking to everybody and feeding people and doing all those things. But at the same time, it felt, you know, it was happening quite rapidly.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? You had a real record. That was a real record. You know, that's what I learned about a real record. Okay, it's got legs. You got to go chase it. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody wants a piece of it. You know, we were doing summer jams and all. I mean, I tell people, new artists all the time, is like, you know, okay, yeah, you got your record's hot, you know, it's cool. Let's see if it has some legs. Let's see if it really, you know, because then you'll have to chase the record. The record, you're not going to be looking for it. You're going to be getting pulled every which way, Absolutely. You know, to do this. And you know, I learned a lot, you know, like I think I said this on the last slide, but, you know, having you as a female artist, and every other client I had was a male client, you know, was definitely a learning experience in how to, you know, two different worlds, dealing with a woman and dealing with, you know, the fellas, you just, you know, you put a gold chain and a t-shirt on them, we're good. DJ, like Bond said, you just got to scratch real, you know.
Scratch a little bit.
And we out of here, baby. Pay.
Yeah.
So, glam squad.
And the thing is that I probably wanted the white t-shirt. I didn't want the gold chain.
And you know what? That's right. That's absolutely right. If you had it your way, it would have been overalls.
And at least we could find some common ground on sweatsuits. So I started getting some dope sweatsuits, velour sweatsuits. There were some sweatsuits that were made for me. And then, of course, you know, look at Missy, right? And I love Missy. But when she started rocking all the sweat, I was like, how come you guys didn't think that worked for me? Why do her people say it's okay? But over here, I don't get so much support. It's like, come on, man. If I step into the room in a velour suit that ain't nobody in the room got, and that's where I came from, is like, if I can make the male MCs, the DJs, and everybody else be like, damn, where you get that suit from? Where you get that? Where you get them shoes? Yeah, check you out. Then I have done my job. I have flossed in the most under kind of foaming way. You know, but DreamWorks got it a little bit more with the sweatsuit styling and like those kind of pieces. And Mo, I see you. I'll bring you up around 6. And so maybe we can talk about 2. Although I don't want to interrupt you. Were you done there, Walter?
Yeah, no, let's move on. It's good.
Okay. To talk about a little bit of what you remember of like, okay, J-Corps ending. We and kind of that part and going to DreamWorks and beginning to work on what was to be the re-release.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. You know, that whole that label ride was another wild education because it was so volatile. You know, in such a short period of time, like a meteoric rise, and then all of a sudden the rug pulled out from under everybody. You know, twice.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Back to back. So like, you know, hearing you know, the J-Core thing was great because when it started, it was a whole, you know, there was money, it seemed like it was limitless, and everybody had big dreams and ideas, and you know, there's a lot of great people that were on that team, like you mentioned before, like, you know, some of the top people out here right now kind of came from that team, you know.
Yeah.
And the, you know, I know you hold relationships with a lot of those folks. I still do to this day. You know, Tech Nine was there and his whole squad, and you know,
A-Ball and MJG.
A-Ball, MJG, Master Ace. You know what I mean? Like it was a good situation. But then when, you know, a lot of times artists hear about politics and things like that in the game. You hear the game's messed up, and it's, you know, there's a bunch of people that they're talking about. You know, these are human beings that are in these big buildings, and they got, you know, they make mistakes and be jacking up shit, and it affects a lot of people. You know, the guy at the top, it seemed like, you know, started doing you know, spending like it was no tomorrow, you know, and all of a sudden he had to shut the doors, and that kind of left everybody high and dry. I remember people scrambling, like, you know, like what do we do next? Oh my God, you know, people pulling out resumes, and I'm walking around the offices like, damn, what's going on in here, you guys?
Right, because we can say, oh, it disrupted the album, but I think you're making the wonderful point of these were people's lives, and where was their check to support themselves and their family to survive? It wasn't like, oh, Mystic's album, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, there were people, see, on my end of things, it was people that was looking for money, that was looking for their checks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that were hitting me like, yo, what's up with J-Core? We hear this, that. We gonna get paid for doing all these posters? And because you had real street teams, and you know, you had a campaign that most artists don't really get. It's part of the reason, you know, we had a real campaign going. Yeah. You know, street teams nationally, radio, all type of stuff going. And you know, that crash, and then so then we get out of that, or you know, or kind of move, like make a lateral move from there to you know, it was a Universal thing. We met with different executives. You know, there were some of the meetings was crazy, and you know, but when we finally get to DreamWorks and it feels great, everything's, you know, feel okay. We start having meetings, and we got a team, and it look, you know, we're working on it. We added new songs. That's when you know, working with Kanye and Mos and Donnell and all of that good stuff. And then that whole
Aaron Henson coming from
City, Mike City, and all these guys, right? Yeah. But you know, and then all of a sudden that situation blows up. You know, and I think they got sold or something like that. You know, and it wasn't even that long, but the politics and all of the happenings in the business while you're planning your greatness, you know, and on your ride, you know, that was a learning experience, because it's just, you know, up, down, and you know, just so high up.
I've never been an artist who believes that belongs on the press, right?
Right.
And so I didn't talk about it, and there's still things I don't say about it, but that it was such a deep personal experience for all of us. And I think that too, that a lesson that I would share from that time is, Austin up there. I kept wanting to know, so when is the re-release going to come out, right? What's happening? Where is it going? And he kind of kept, and I'm like, well, but I don't have any money. And so he gives me an advance, right? But he's kind of like, he's keeping me at bay. He's saying it's going to cut, we're working on it. We're working it out. At that time, we didn't know that stuff was happening with DreamWorks.
Right.
But what I ended up really feeling at the end of the day, I remember going into his office when I knew and being in tears because I really, really valued him. And just being in tears and saying, where are you going? I'll go with you.
Right.
Wherever you're going,
Right.
I'll go with you.
Right.
And him, also being emotional and saying, I think I just need to step back. I need to take some time. And so I actually think that what I felt was a delay on my record or on my album was actually him protecting me and not wanting, and I see Walter's in circles. And
He's got the circle going
but
on.
so
Yeah.
I think that you were frozen for a second, Walter. I was saying that I think that part of what Austin was doing was that what I thought was like a delay on my album was him actually trying to keep me safe.
Right.
Not put me as an artist who is an artist, because he was an artist label exec.
Right.
That he didn't want me to go through that again.
Right.
And so there's a lesson to be learned is that as an artist, when you have success, and even if maybe you're not having great success, but as things are happening, look, Walter can tell you, I always want to know everything. And I can feel when there's conversations going on, and Bonds can tell you the same thing. You can feel when these things are happening. And at the same time, you have to kind of have some trust in, that this is your team and they have decided that they're trying to make sure that you're okay. They're trying to make sure you're emotionally okay, that you are physically okay, and that you don't deal with the shit that you shouldn't have to deal with. I mean, I think some of that shit I would have wanted to deal with, but that's just me as the artist that I am. But that you're not always going to know everything, and it's not about people trying to do something malicious behind you. People do malicious things, but it's not always about people trying to be malicious around your back. If you have a manager, let your manager work, right? If things are not good for you, they don't connect with what you value, what you represent, or is just disrespectful the way that somebody's trying to come at you, trust your manager enough to say, to deal with that situation and explain that you're not available and you're not accessible. And whether that's with a label or that's with somebody externally. And you also have to trust your DJ enough, if that's somebody who's on your team, that when certain things are on the table, the way that you move needs to be tied to that. And so that might sound a little bit kind of, I don't know, poetic, the way that I'm saying it, esoterical, the way that I'm saying it. But I'm really saying, like, there's parts of my journey that I just have to trust the process. And it didn't necessarily always seem easy at the time, or like, universally, this is what's supposed to be happening and it's for me at this time. But I absolutely know that everything that happened was supposed to happen. And that I think that if we had stayed on the trajectory that we were on in terms of the success, then I may not have been able to continue as much with my own personal healing journey. And I also am not sure that I would have been able to hold on to what I love, which is art, which is hip hop. And so it's a really interesting thing in the business to have the opportunity to start to rise up to those echelons, and you can see how it functions and you start to experience it, but then you can pull back. Should that happen to me in 2021? It would still be hard. I would still have to trust my team. I would have to have a team. I would have to do all those things, but I would be much more prepared as a human, as a businesswoman, than as an artist. So
the team is extremely important. That's one of the other things I learned. Like, and you know, they say teamwork makes the dream work and all of that, but it's like really, like you said, you got to do your best to pick the best people, pick a great team, and then trust that team.
Yeah.
You know, so spend your time really picking the right people that you know, that's where the work goes in. But after that, you got to give people the room, like you said, to work and do what they're supposed to do to help you and protect you and bring you along, because you definitely need a team. Definitely need a team.
Absolutely. And Walter, and Walter and Bonds know that I'm somebody like, you know, I'm incredibly detailed and do the work and all those things. But like, you know, when it's time to just be an artist, you need to be able to just be an artist.
Right.
And
Right.
you need to be in that space. And it's a beautiful thing to move throughout the world as a creative and an artist. The music business is the music business though. But as we've kind of learned across the Mystic Behind the Journey series, and some of that in conversation with you, Walter, and with others, is that, you know, look, yeah, I don't know. It makes me emotional to think that it's a journey.
Absolutely.
You know, and you do have to trust people. But also, what a magical guy, right? Who I don't, you know, I know other artists who have had beautiful rises, artists like Guapale, you know, other folks. But until you really experience it on your own and you get out there and you do the work, because what you create as an artist in the studio, that is the core, right? That is your creative, that is your art. You have nothing without them. But all the stuff that happens once that art goes to the world, and if there's money that's involved in it and making money and trying to make it be successful, you know, that's a totally different part of the journey. So, you know, obviously hopefully those of you who are listening understand that we had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also absolutely some challenges. And before I bring Moetown up, I wanna make sure, because I was thinking about this, Bonds. Oh, I see Dana there too. I wanted to talk about the Gray Ghost. That my stuff was all over TV, and that you and I would still show up to these shows in the Gray Ghost.
Yeah. So this 1988 Toyota Corolla hatchback had over 500,000 miles. Actually, it got to 1 million miles. It was a whole thing. So the Toyota Corolla hatchback. You know, you needed a ride to the Grammys, and so we figured go ahead and put you, Moms, and the Gray Ghost. You know, with almost 1 million miles. You know, head down to the red carpet. Now, we dropped you off like a little bit away from the red carpet, so you could see me getting out of my car. But you know, I
Let's
officially
keep it
drove you to the
real.
Grammys.
Keep it real.
I can say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the way you could pack that car like nobody's business with your record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Or
the
with the
cigarette
turntables,
table.
whatever we were doing, right? Before you ever
Yeah.
had a truck and all
Oh yeah.
those things.
All the crates and shit, turntables, all that. Definitely.
Yeah. So this is Mystic Behind the Journey, episode 7, the release. I have with me my brother and DJ Bonds. I also have with me my brother Walter, aka Walt Liquor. And it's been a pleasure to talk with you. I see Dana is here and Moetown is here. I think, Bonds, what I'm going to ask you to do is step down but stay.
Okay.
And then I'm going to bring up Dana and Moetown.
But I
want to say thank you. And
exit stage left.
No, you don't exit, Walter. You stay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll see you guys later.
But
I'll be
I'm
here.
bring you back up though. That's what I'm saying. Don't leave.
Oh, okay.
Just
I got you.
Step down for
Yeah. All right. Got you.
All right. Let me make this happen. Mo. Sent a request. And Dana sent a request. So Moetown and Dana, I sent you each a request. You can click it to come on in.
Yeah! Yeah!
Hey!
Hey!
Wow! You guys, I
Oh,
am
greetings.
so happy to see all of you.
I'm so
I know,
happy.
I apologize. I had to literally jump in the car and I'm like, oh shit, 5 minutes. I'm like, I just need to get to Crenshaw. Just need to get to Crenshaw and I'll be okay.
You
Oh,
made it. You made it. You made it. For the people who are going to listen to this later, the boom, look who stepped in the room. We've got Dana Mason, aka Dana Day, aka Mecca, aka my angel, my sister, my beloved. We also have Moetown. Moetown, the one, my brother, the one who I felt like I could eat off his
Dana!
plate, and I ended up grabbing some pork, and then he laughed at me the entire time. Like, you shouldn't be pulling food off my plate. And and also, you know, worked with J. Core and brought me all through the South, which was a powerful experience for me. And we also still have Walt Liquor here. So I've kind of briefly introduced folks, but Dana, can you please tell the people a little bit more about you?
Well, the time that I had the opportunity to meet you, I had just stepped away from EMI, and my brother and business partner at the time, Dave Weiner, had gotten it. I know, shout out to Dave. And he invited me to go on his journey, his new journey in starting J-Core. And we were heading up the urban division for that label. It was a small indie label owned by Jay Ferris. And so we were just moving along and signing and doing all kinds of things. And I was good friends with Matt and Chris, and I was super excited to know that they were looking for a label home. And I was like, we've got to bring in good vibes. And then, boom, I get you all in the package. And I had no idea it was going to be so life-changing. So
Oh, wow.
That's how I was the director of urban marketing or something over there at J-Core. So basically Dave's right hand as we were. We had you guys, we had not Raucus, we had Cam, West Coast Cam.
Yeah.
We had signed Tech 9 at the time, and so we were busy just building a roster, and little did I know I had the most beautiful gem of them all. And yeah, these are my people. I get Walt, I get Mo, I get like all of it. Like I lucked out. I know this is supposed to be about you, but it's really about me because I lucked out in all
absolutely. The reason that I wanted to do this Behind the Journey was so that I wasn't sitting down and doing interviews talking about me and my album. I really wanted to come and talk with those of you who were part of the journey, who made the music and who made sure that I was taken care of and who helped make everything happen, because people may see me in the front and see me on the stage, but those of you who don't stand in the bright lights, you guys are the people who helped me to survive it and to navigate it and to thrive it. And I love you for it. Mo, please introduce yourself.
I'm the intern. That's who I am. I'm the No, so funny story about about J-Core. I came to J-Core, and the reason we used to do street team. We were doing street team for J-Core and mix show. And of course, this is right when they signed you, but they also had A-Ball and MJG.
Yeah.
And A-Ball and MJG at the time were banned from radio. So I ended up getting like finagling, using the relationships and getting the band lifted. And then J-Core was like, yo, we need somebody like you on the team, like come work here. And I was like, all right, whatever. And the first artist, like after Ball and G was cut for luck and Squad for Freedom. So it was like, all right, you're gonna work with this artist, Mystic, and you're just going on the road.
you had never met or nothing of this shit, and we just hopped on the road together, and it was
Yeah.
just like it became like it was comedy, just the ups and downs of that road because I was learning, like y'all were learning, and
Mm-hmm.
just like the ups and downs of that. But it was hella fun because that was like it was like a family because we did all kind of stuff on that tour, man. We was like
Yeah.
we were hanging out with we would like Fife, rest in peace, literally like
Mm-hmm.
go to Fife's house and have like cookouts and go to
Yeah.
random people's like family members' house while we were on the road and just be part like throw house parties and stuff.
Right.
It was crazy. Walt, who didn't drink,
Right.
Right.
and we got him. We got him drink. We got him his first drink. What was it? What was it?
I heard a few hums.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been downhills ever since, nigga.
yeah.
I see what
It
you
was.
did there. Sorry, Walter.
Yeah, he
Forgive me.
got him his first drink.
Awesome.
But I will take that
And
as a note to say if you are an artist who's looking for management, don't look for the person who wants to be the life of the party and the party in the room and who's drunk and high all the time. That person is not going to have the capabilities to be able to help you thrive and to protect you and to navigate spaces. There's nothing wrong with having a drink. There's nothing wrong with smoking your weed, but don't look for a manager who is that life of the party. Anyways, Dana.
Yes.
Okay, so for people who are like, look
Woo-hoo.
at Miles, Dana, you just like you swooped around me when I came into J-Core, and you just wrapped your love around me and your protection, and you took me to get facials, and you were somebody who would like buy the clothes for me, but you bought clothes that I loved and that I was comfortable in, and you weren't trying to ever make me into an artist or a person that I wasn't. And
Glad.
was super thankful for that. Did somebody ask you to do that, or did you do that naturally?
I did that naturally, and
Yeah.
it came from a place of one, just us having such an immediate connection and
Yeah.
just like having that bond and that sisterhood and understanding, for me, like I said, and for y'all that don't know, like you were my first female artist that I had worked with. I was all gangster rap up until that point, and
oh yeah,
a little bit of East Coast, and so I had all dudes. So it was like, oh my God, a sister in hip hop, like I can do this. Like I
Yeah.
know what this is, and but it was also important for me to make you feel comfortable. I mean, like I said, we were in a room with it's an all male scene. So it was important for me to make you feel safe as so many of my male counterparts did for me in that space. And like I said, we were at this new venture. So, and I knew you were somebody amazing. And I was just doing my best to give you what I thought you needed.
Yeah.
And there was the ability to communicate openly was also a help,
Yeah.
and you being open to suggestions. And, I said, it's hard for me. I'm not an artist. So it's, I've always had to I always felt the need to tread carefully to not make artists, well, like I said, it doesn't have to be female artists, but any artist that I've worked with, they're not, because that's what you do. I know what my lane is, and then
Yeah.
I have to trust what the artists know is their lane with, some gentle suggestions. And again, just the idea of you being open to some of the things, some of our styling questions, styling adventures, and, just figuring that out to, again, make you feel comfortable, make
Yeah.
it feel natural, doesn't look contrived,
Right.
was
Right.
really
Right.
important. And you had such a beautiful message, and it's like you don't want to be overdone you know, to
Yeah.
fit the narrative of what hip hop was and is still, you know, at the time in order to sell records, you
Yeah.
still want to be able to come off and to be your authentic self. And it's really important. And I mean, it was like that for you. And it was also, you know, the same switching mindsets. It was the same thing for Tech Nine. Nobody really got him either. And this was all these
Right.
artists at the same time and not making any artist and, you know, to fit a certain narrative in order to sell.
Yeah.
So it was,
What I'm thinking
so
about as you're talking, what I'm thinking about in both of you and Mo being on here is like you, Dana, you, I mean, obviously I had worked with Black women and with Tambisa, but you were the only Black woman. You were the Black woman who came in this world of primarily white folks at Good Vibe.
yeah,
And then there were other awesome, yeah, you know, I'm not saying white, oh, you're the devil.
sure.
It just
Right.
is what it is. And so you were the Black woman. And I was so thankful in connecting with that. And then like you,
Yeah.
Mo, totally different experience with somebody who is a Black man. And yeah, it's not like you're from the South.
Yeah,
That's your
right.
own thing to claim.
Right.
But to move around
Yeah.
with a Black man through the South, so those were kind of some beautiful pieces that were brought in through J-Core. That obviously I had a Black manager, I had a Black DJ, but that the label structure and the promoters and other folks were primarily white.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about that at this moment of like how beautiful and important it was for me. You know what I mean?
J-Core had the beginning. It was the beginning of what could have been something incredible. I think if it wasn't for 9/11,
Right.
then like the E1s and the 300s,
Yeah.
that would like J-Core laid the blueprint for that because they were independent, but they weren't didn't operate as an independent.
Right.
Like they were,
Right.
you know, we were fully staffed.
Right.
It had and it brought in like credible like executives. You know, from the Danas, from the Dave Winers, to I mean Geo. You know, and then Geo went and he ran RCA. He was a president of RCA for a lot of years. So it was just like they had a hell of a team, man. If it wasn't for if it really like
Right.
9/11, like and it was 9/11 happened like in the middle of like
Yeah.
pushing your project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just
So, you know,
wait. J-Core office down the street from the
It
tower.
was. It was.
yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
supposed to be in New York at that
Right.
time to renegotiate my contract.
Mm.
And I didn't go, and all of that happened. And in fact, man,
Wow.
you were the one that called me that day because my mom was in the Middle East. She was working in the Middle East
I
at the time.
remember.
And you called me that first thing in the morning when I was still asleep when when it was all going down in New York. And you're like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in my bed. Where are you?" Like I had no idea what was going on. But
Yeah.
I was supposed to be in New York at that time, and I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were
It
talking.
was really a trip.
Miss was just about to go on tour with Black Eyed Peas that week. We had to push it back to
Yeah,
fly. She was gonna fly to Chicago. We had to get a bus to take her to Chicago from the
it's
Bay.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
it
yeah.
it was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But it was to go back to the staff, like it was so important. And I don't know if you guys even knew or not. It was just me and Dave. And Dave and I
Mm,
were the ones that navigated through our relationships to bring everybody on board that we knew
Yeah.
that had amazing, amazing skill sets and that wanted to get down with us. And I mean, people, like you said, like to you guys, to you, Mo, and to to Marlo, and like, you know, it was, I mean, people
Yeah.
that were working the records, and these were all you guys were my friends, and it was from working gangster rap.
Look what gangster rap gave the
Look what
world.
gangster rap did. I'm
Yeah.
saying. And it was, and I have to say that I really appreciated how Dave really gave me the room to do what I needed to do, and was really ultimately supportive, and was a game changer for me, because it was that independent blueprint that you talk about, Mo, is what he learned from Mark Cerami that started Priority Records. And he taught me the distribution, the independent distribution game that he got from Mark Cerami. And that's exactly how he built, and he was very strategic about it. And I think our first signing was 8 Ball and MJG off of Swap House. That was the first thing Dave went after. And I was like, oh, for real, we doing that? Okay. And then I'm on my underground, hip hop. I was like, oh, we gotta go get Good Vibes, because they got, they had, I was like, yeah, we doing all that. And he's like, I don't know about all that, Dana, but I know this right here. And I was like, okay, you do that. That's when we got the Kims, and then boom, the wild shit with Tech Nine. And then I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cam was I forgot.
Cam was there, and I remember feeling like, man, peace treaty, right?
Right.
I'm a West Coast chick all day. People can think whatever they want to think, but I'm West Coast all day. And so being on a label with Cam, that was like big to me, right? And I loved 8 Ball and MJG because I was in the southern rap and hip hop. But being with Cam was like, oh my goodness, that's peace treaty. Cam.
It was. Didn't. Oh yeah, SIBO. Y'all had signed SIBO too. I forgot about that. Yes, SIBO.
Mo, you worked.
And C-Wiz out of Nashville, he hooked me up with Mike 5000, and that's when I got the Screwed and Chopped. We was moving through all that.
That's crazy.
All
I have to ask you, Mo, because you worked a lot of records to radio. What was your experience trying to work the life to radio in the South?
So I still remember the first person that actually played the life. And it's ironic because he's in Atlanta right now. He's a programmer in Atlanta. It was Devin Steele in Memphis. He was the first person that played the life. And I remember like trying to convince people to actually play the record. And he was like, man, is it rap or is it singing? Like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look, man, this shit is just dope. I'm like, it's dope. And then everybody was like, but yeah, this is like during the crunk era. So people was like, but we ain't really trying to go this direction. You know what I mean? We're going in a different direction. I'm like, look, man, it's the perfect day part record. And then right when people start believing it, like, again, right when people start like turning over and believing in the record. 9/11.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I never think about that. Like when you just said it right now about that, if it wasn't for 9/11, J. Core would have. I didn't really think about it like that. That was right.
Think about it. J. Core was an independent, and it was not operating as an independent.
No. Did you buy the Wild Pitch catalog or Cold Chillin' or something?
Yeah,
I did that.
Dana's like, hi. A black woman did that.
We got the old ass dilapidated box of shit from Stu Fine's mama's house, and I had to bake down the reels. I think maybe you were
in
even
your office.
You
had it all in your office.
Yes, I had all. And crazy enough, I still have like the OG film separations for the album covers and stuff. They never came and got it.
Wow.
And I was like, it was so crazy. So yeah, I'm putting out reissues, and I'm like banging on folks to make sure that we was getting money for your record. I was like, come on now. and I kept thinking, I was like, I got the new Lauryn Hill. That's what I remember thinking. I was like, I got the new Lauryn Hill.
Mm.
Yep.
And I was like, this shit right here is gonna go. And
Yeah.
yeah,
For
it was
navigating
crazy.
so gracefully, there was the article that came out from Time Out magazine, and I think they put on the cover like the artist who might make you forget about Lauryn Hill, and I was deeply, deeply offended by that because there was no need to say anything about Lauryn in any kind of way to uplift
Mm-hmm.
and being able to join that space with her, though. You know, that was beautiful company to be in. And that, I mean, where the music business is in 2021 and all the artists that we have who rhyme and sing, or do melody, whatever you like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's all they do now.
But that's all
Yeah.
everybody,
Right.
people expect that now, right?
Right. Right.
Was such a
For
trip.
artists like me, that still people weren't they still really didn't know what to do with that. Even when I got to Dream,
Back then.
I created and I recorded the song, I think it was the Breathe Better Days, which I am rapping on, but I'm singing with Donnell Jones on the hook.
Right.
There were people who worked at the label who were like, it's not a rap record. And I remember being in the room and I'm like, do you hear me rapping? Right? I'm not singing on it. And they said, but it feels good. And I remember that being like such a thing for me in my heart of like, okay, so if it feels good, that means it's not hip hop. If it feels good, that means it's not music. If it feels good, it means that we're not really talking about what's happening in our communities or pursuing justice. Like, it should feel good.
I think that project, it was a tweener project. And I say that because if it came out like a few years before, it would have been like a top album. But if it came out like 3 years ago during everything that we were going through, like, you know, with the whole BLM, it would be a top album, right? But it came out during a time where it was just like, you know, we everybody was in the club and tear the club up and you know,
definitely
they were just living this thing. So it was one of those things. I mean, that project and then like your project and Slum Village, I think were like two albums. I think it was like it just came out at the wrong time.
That damn Village out.
Yeah,
out. Oh, you know, come on now.
Yeah.
Pure.
That's a whole other.
That's
with Slum Village actually being on that tour. I learned a lot that I won't ever say in public.
I learned a lot of things on that tour too.
Yo, I was like,
a lot of things on.
It was a lot of what the hell. I was like, what? What is
doing? Bartender had a lot of holistic knowledge.
Yes.
About the world.
Yes.
So, you know, rest in peace to the brother. I wanna take that opportunity, Mo, to say, you know, to me that's why, like, to end up in the position where I own the masters to the album. And to have it be the 20th anniversary to release it, it's like part of when I was talking with Tempisa, she was like, you know, what do you hope happens with this album 20 years later? And I said, you know, for me, it's about having the music, having the healing components of the music available for young women and for young men and people who are going through healing journeys, and just have it be available because there are still youngins who fall in love with the music when they hear it. And whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, the songs still relate to what we're going through right now in our community.
My favorite song on the album, which of course, you know, I'm a man and I guess I'm not the person to say what should be the anthem like for women. Girlfriend was the shit.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank
you.
I didn't
Girlfriend.
Say. But but dudes could bang that, I think, and not feel right, and not feel like a crazy kind of way about it. Like, well, that's a woman's anthem. I can't bang that. That's it bangs. Shout out to
so you know, you messed me up. Like I listened to the album. And then you were living in L.A. and I came to L.A. and you went out with us. And when you were like, that whole album is like real life. That's like true. And I was like, oh shit, like, which gave I was like, damn, like for real. I was like, shit, damn, you went through some shit, like.
Right.
Oh shit, which gave me a whole different perspective on the album. I was like, damn, that shit hard. Makes it even harder. And then 2 weeks later, it made it even more dope because I was listening to, like, I was riding with my homeboy from the Bay and then the Loonies. I was listening to Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
And then he said your name. And I was like, yeah.
The shout out. That's the thing, though. I think that people, they heard the life. I'm not sure that they listened to the lyrics, because I'm talking about people who are incarcerated, and I'm talking about women in welfare lines. I'm saying fuck them. Fuck the president, fuck politics.
Yeah.
Defend your life by any means, right? I'm saying these things, and I'm talking about a day on the block where nobody uses their Glock to kill anybody. Like, what is it that is it you thought I was talking about as I was singing it, but that there was this idea that I was this like burn your incense head wrap type of chick. And I do love a head wrap. Wow. And I do love incense, but that is not me. And so you had people who work in the business I would meet them somewhere and they would be like, oh shit, you drink a beer? Every time I smoke, like, dang, Newports, or you?
But they thought that about me
you
too.
were like, I thought that you were different, but you're hella cool. And I was like, I'm not sure where you ever got. Like, I don't know. I thought the Life video was beautiful. And that was really my house. And that was really the Rose Garden. And that was really the welfare office. And so, yeah, the fact that I felt like somewhere, well, I should say the people who got it were the people who were supposed to get it. And they got that I couldn't write songs like D-Boy if I hadn't been in love with D-Boys. If I hadn't been space, I couldn't write Fallen Angels. I'm creative, but I couldn't have written those. I couldn't have written about wanting to love somebody and the life and the world being so cold, right? In the game. I couldn't have just written that if I wasn't there. So I think the people who were supposed to get it got it. And then maybe the people who didn't get it will get it. Will get it now. But it was a coming of age album in many ways.
And it was beautiful. And that was the thing. It was so beautifully complex. And so if you're going into it with just the idea of, oh, let me just listen and vibe out, the melodies, the track, the production was insane. So you get that part and you can ride out and you say you got your bangers here and your cool out shit, but you really have to have some sort of emotional acuity to tune into what you're saying. And the ones that do hear you. And like you said, and so even if they don't hear you on the surface, that's the beautiful part about music and your music. It's like you'll end up singing it and not even knowing, and the programming of the music, and so and you'll get the message, and then it comes out, or when you take that moment and you stop and you're like, oh, she was saying some shit right there. Oh yeah. Yeah. And every time, as much as I was with you through that process, and every time I get something different, every time I listen to your album. And that's how you have a body of work that, like you said, will always be relevant. Because if you can listen to it and take something away from it different every time, or do that with Stevie Wonder albums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I don't know who's trying to get in the video, but you can't be here right now. But no, it is a dope thing. And again, all three of you are so critical to the journey in my mind. And it's like to have people who you come to know and love and who you can be connected with decades later is such
amazing,
right? It's like whatever the ups and downs and however it happened, to have that is an honor, and it's a blessing, and it's beautiful. And it's like, I just feel like it all makes sense for me to own the masters.
You did that.
Right?
Yeah.
I wasn't concerned about that part of it when I signed my deal. But to continue to have gone through a healing journey and to kind of like have it come back to me and have those songs come back to me that were about my life and that really were true and that were really fundamental as part of my healing process, to have those come back to me so that I can then offer them back to the world is
amazing.
It's a privilege and it's beautiful. So I thank you guys
Amazing.
for being part of the process. And Mo, I want to come out there and rock one time. I know my records are not that big, but you could put me on at the early in the day.
Come on, we'll put you on the rock. Like, for reals, we got you.
Mo always gonna be like, well, just come on out.
No, everybody out, listen, man. So I tell you, like, everybody's like, we gonna come down. We gonna come down. Like, come down. So, like,
No, I'm coming down.
yeah, right. Man.
If we didn't have COVID, I probably would have come last year because I was done with school, right?
Yeah,
and so once I finished my school stuff, it was like, oh, I can start going places again. And then COVID was like, no.
Ain't going nowhere.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. So
I used to get offended
What'd you say?
when people. I used to get offended. I used to get offended when people didn't want to come. Like, oh man. But now, sometimes I be thankful because I'm like, man, it's 50,000 people, and if 50,003 come, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And those 3 people actually coming specifically for me, I'm like, oh shit, man, like, you know. But I do. But I want people. I do like want my friends to like experience the festival, like just to see.
I mean, what you
how it is, and
it's
you know,
it's so beautiful and awesome, and you're alive.
Amazing.
And I'm thankful for that.
Mhm.
And to watch you be part of building this from
Amazing.
like literally building it and to now to have it successful and pop off the way it does now. That's to me that's like
that was like, listen,
that I got I work with amazing people, like human beings and hearts, but really brilliant folks who have dope.
Hey, so oh, I forgot. This is the thing. So one of my partners in the festival, I actually met on that tour. And he's one of my closest friends right now, Rasta Root.
Oh yes. What up to Root?
I didn't know Root before that. I met Root on that tour.
Yeah.
We became friends on that tour.
Wow.
That's crazy. I forgot about I thought about that. He's actually in the Bay right now, too.
That came out of that tour. It's just the tour itself was a bit challenging.
Wow.
That's crazy. I forgot about that. That is ironic.
Huh. He even came out and DJ'd for me a couple of times, like when Bonds couldn't make it. And that was dope.
That's a trip.
Where's Buns?
But I am going to kind of close up here by simply, Walter, you look like you want to say something.
No, he was asking where Bonds at. He was
You can only have 3 people up here, so
okay,
but I
first
do
of all,
need to
I
bring
don't call
Bonds
him
up
Bonds.
with you, Mo.
I don't call him Bonds. I never called him Bonds. I called him Buns.
Buns.
I will bring him. I will bring him back up so he can see Mo. Walter, you want to step? Want to step down?
Congratulations for the release tomorrow. Happy anniversary. I'm so happy that it's coming back and people are going to get a chance to really get it at this point.
Yes.
People been starving. They've been starved all this time. It's about time,
Yeah.
Love you, and I'm happy that we're here at this point to be able to celebrate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the journey, and thank you for continuing to be on a creative journey with me.
Yeah,
I already know. And Mo, nigga, good to see you, bro. You already know, baby.
Hey, well, you know what I gotta do? You know what I gotta do tomorrow?
Go.
I gotta get a physical, man, for my job.
For my job. Yeah. Dana, good to see you, baby. You looking good.
Always good to see you, Walt.
Uh-huh.
So happy to see your face. You look amazing. Be well.
I can't wait to see all y'all in person.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna bring Bonds up. So
Bye.
Dana and Mo.
Buzz.
Peace. All right.
Hey,
Let's see.
he middle finger. He's
Bond.
Hey,
yeah. That's
so
the,
funny.
There we go.
I've been calling him that from day one.
I know.
So
Well,
funny.
let us not talk about your striped shirts, man.
Hey,
You not wearing your striped
Hey.
shirts no more, man?
Hey, on site with you. On site with you, man. You and your striped shirts, you look collar
Hey,
back in the 2000s. Taking me to Mexican restaurants in Nashville, Tennessee, where the guitar player is playing Baby Got Back on acoustic guitar. Nigga.
Oh,
You got we gonna go to this Mexican spot in Tennessee.
that's you.
You know what I'm saying? And the fucking the guitar dude that was literally, you know, Baby Got Back on the fucking guitar.
That was a
I
joke.
missed that.
Classic shit. Classic moments with you, man.
That,
Oh yeah, yo, listen.
that was
Hey, look,
mission.
hey, I ain't gonna lie, though, Dan. If y'all like, we was wilding out on that tour. Like, it was just.
I was not on the road. I think I popped in and out of a couple spots with y'all, but I was like, yeah.
But Mo
Yeah.
always made sure I ate. And I so
Yeah.
truly appreciated that. And I know it sounds like a small thing, but I mentioned it earlier when I got to my point, wherever it was, where I remember saying, I'm not going to do interviews. I'm not going to do things unless I can eat, right? I have to be able to eat. I
Yeah. Oh
need to be
yeah.
able to take care of myself. But you always made sure I ate. And I appreciate that. I know it seems small, but I
Because
love
you would get mean and shit if not.
Yeah, I have food, right? Like I
Right.
You get mean. And then me, Walter, and Buns would talk about you at sound check. I'm like, yo, man, she tripping today.
She's tripping right now. She on one.
They would get up on stage and make fun of me during that.
They
When
call that
when I
hangry.
needed to save my voice.
Yeah,
He was hangry.
She kept taking her shoes off on stage and shit. They're like, God damn it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we talk about being grounded with Mother Earth and the soil. As an MC, right? I need to spit. I need to be ready to move, and I need to do things. You can't. I
Like,
cannot not personally do those in heels. I am not Beyonce. We know, right? She can make that happen. Khalees can make that happen. Although I go barefoot too.
I feel it.
Like, and so if
But then I had to go get your shoes.
The agreement that we came to is that I would wear the shoes on stage. I would walk on stage with the heel.
But I had to carry it. I'm carrying your purse, my DJ bag, your shoes. Like, come on now. Like, yo, real talk. You know, I'm a man about mine, but you know, at some point between a pink little box of makeup, your shoes, your purse, and you just go off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
yo,
just go do my thing and run around
Oh,
barefoot and go be. I know, but
had me all kinds of fucked up way. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I would do it all over with you guys again. I would do it again in a completely new situation. And I can't say that about everything that's happened in my life. And so I am hopping on to Councilwoman Fife, who is the councilwoman for downtown and West Oakland area. She invited me to come on today to talk about the importance of Black art and culture in Oakland and why we need to fund them. And so I've got to hop off for that, make sure that I'm on time. Like,
Oh yeah, well
but I want to make sure. No, but I want to make sure
that's important.
that I'm just, you know, this is also about me just being able to love y'all up and just say thank you and gratitude and just I wouldn't be me without you guys. And so I want to offer Bonds. I need to offer. I want to offer it to you. I want you to let people know about your documentary.
Oh, so my vice president of awesomeness here, Dana Dane, I was trying to recruit her to be the main project managers. But she was so helpful in the beginning. It's been 10 years trying to make this shit, and made a documentary about underground hip hop in LA and my role in it. And it's coming out August 24th. So it's coming out August 24th. All major platforms, all digital, on demand. You know, if you watch your movie on Amazon, if you watch your stuff on Apple TV, wherever you watch your stuff, it'll be there. It's called Where We're From. It's Elements documentary, and it'll be out August 24th.
Amazing.
Oh, that's dope.
Congratulations, Bon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Mo, you want to
Oh,
say anything
shit.
about the festival?
Yeah, One Music Fest, October 9th and 10th, in Atlanta.
Dope.
A lot of people. Her, Lil Wayne, Osley Brothers, sheesh. Don't make Ty Dolla, T-Pain, everybody. There's
Dana, are
a
you
lot
gonna
of people.
go?
I am
Dana's
gonna go.
fronting.
I'm not from my boy Terrence is that when you posted it, he sent it to me. He's like, he's in Atlanta. He lives in Atlanta State. He's like, I know you're coming this year, and I was like, I promise.
Come on, Dan. You gotta come.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
All right.
it. If you're going,
No doubt. Yes.
Yeah, start a
Absolutely.
group text. We're gonna do it. All right, y'all come. I got y'all.
oh, this will be beautiful.
I'll bring a striped shirt for you.
I know. And Dana, is there anything that you want to talk about in your what I would call humanitarian work, or anything else?
In my humanitarian world, I am an active board member of Have a Soul. We're here based in LA, but we have given out over 30,000 pairs of shoes. We just had our 7th anniversary. We have amazing partnerships with Nike, but we also take donations from all you sneakerheads, and we serve the underprivileged and at-risk youth. And I just finished a 6-week internship program with 6 beautiful souls from the Covenant House here in LA, and it was absolutely amazing. So Have a Soul at havesoul.com. Go see our work, donate, support us. We want to grow and put more shoes on more people. It's so important. So thank you.
So many different ways to move about the world, and I would say, I won't go deep into it, but I would say that we are all insurgent architects in our own way, which means that, like, in a condensed sense, that we all work internally within music, within the business, within the world, to create change from the inside out. And that's what it means to be an insurgent architect, right? And so I honor you all for being that, and the work that you do, and the spaces that you do, and for having these tangible impacts on the world, because shoes, and because art, and because history and culture, and because us, and the beauty of being Black folks and culture creators is so necessary and beautiful and powerful. So thank you guys for doing the work. And I love you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
thank you. Start a group text.
Yeah.
Thank you for being you, because without you, I wouldn't have known these guys. And thank you for letting me be a part of this beautiful journey. Bonds, thank you for making me tag along on the secondary parts of your journey. And Mo, coming for you.
Come on.
We're gonna have some more fun.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, y'all.
Love y'all.
Love y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Peace.
Bye,
All right, y'all. As people sign off, like I said, I am about to head over to council members Fife's Thursday Live to talk about Black arts and culture. Gosh, I've been so blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing people. Look, Cuts for Luck and Scars for Freedom drops at 12 a.m. Stream it, buy it, share it, bump it. Do all of those things in my link in the bio. You can still pre-order and pre-save. You can access the podcast that's being made from this. You can access my website. There'll be other goodies that are coming, and I'm excited. I appreciate you. I love you. And also in the link in my bio is starting on August. I don't have my calendar. It's on August 11th and on August the 4th. I think those are the 2 dates. There will be community IG lives that are open to the community, that will talk about art and healing, and art and activism, art and justice. We'll talk about these two areas. I have some very special guests who are coming, who are organizers and activists on national levels, who are doing deep work in communities across the nation. I also have received great stuff from some of you guys already that I am going to be communicating with you to let you know that I will bring you on. But through my bio, you can click the link to participate in the community IGs. And it's a little, I think saying a survey makes you guys feel weirded out, but it will take you 2, 3, 4 minutes to fill it out. I just want to know when you're available, what block of time, what day, and whether you're interested in talking about my music in connection with your healing. Or if you're interested in talking about my music in connection with social justice and activism in our communities, and generally speaking, the power of art in connection with healing and art in connection with activism and social justice and transforming our world. So, yeah, thank you. And I love you. And we're here. We made it 20 years later. Cuts for luck and scars for freedom. Let's go. Peace, y'all.